Good evening, guys. And just to clear some confusion here, the bigger confusion than HTML versus Flash is I'm Nitish and he's Sunit. Okay? So the round of applause should have been for Sunit, and I'll wait for mine if there is any. Okay. So the first slide says yes, because those who are short of time, they can go away with this answer. Can HTML5 do that? Right? So whatever Flash can do, HTML5 can do that, is more or less true. Every answer has to be taken with a pinch of salt. This is a short answer, it's not the complete answer. Most of the questions, most of the answer has been given by Sunit. Whatever issues are there in terms of performance and in terms of reach, in terms of compatibility, I'm going to try and touch upon a couple more of challenges that we face as we have tried to adopt HTML5. Okay? So first I'll show you, this is what, so I'm looking at Ghana.com from a product and technology perspective. And there are several reasons why we wanted to look at HTML5. And this is what we had as an early avatar of HTML5 site of Ghana.com. So how many of you have ever visited Ghana.com? Okay, so everybody likes everything that's free, right? So the music on Ghana.com still happens to be free, and it's something like Snapdeal and MyDollar giving away products at lesser than cost. We are giving away songs for free. So here in this slide, I want you to notice a couple of things. One is that there is no radio streaming. Radio streaming, by radio streaming, I specifically mean that as being a part of Times Group, we have a tie-up with Radio Mirchi, and we actually stream the radio that you listen on in FM. And this is an evidence of the convergence, where if you bypass the FM licenses regime perhaps, and you stream live music via IP, like IPTV, you have FM radio here via internet. And then you have this player with a simple UI, but it streams UI, but stream out desired protocols. Okay, so there's a typo there, but there is a lack of protocols there. That's what I'm going to touch upon. And that's why I didn't. So my section is now in about 4 sections. I'm going to introduce Ghana.com, talk about why didn't we go the HTML5 way, why that remained as that early avatar. So far we are not there. There are certain issues. It's a mix of technical and business issues. It's not purely technology issue. And what is HTML5 very briefly, and then are we ready for HTML5 now? So Ghana.com, we know that we are helping millions of users search and discover musical content. You can come here, manage your personalized playlist, listen, share, and enjoy, right? And the promise is to do it free. Going back, anywhere, any device, anytime, and all free. So of course, thanks to the marketing guys and the 5 to 6%, 7%, somebody told me that's the kind of budget, that they spend the money and we get to listen to music free. So this is how we look for those who have not had an opportunity of having ever visited Ghana.com. Our needs are very simple. We need to be social, whether being advertised on Facebook.com or whether to help people connect with the social crowd, with the social connects. But an advertising which keeps us free. We have been lucky to be blessed with the attention of a lot of big advertisers. And we, of course, try to be creative, that rather than just taking songs from somebody and playing it for you and you click on a song and plays, we try to build a radio that is built on your user behavior, on your behavior. What kind of songs your social circle listens to, what kind of songs you've been listening to, or you seed a song and we use complex mathematics to come up with a predicted next best song that you should listen to. So that's Radio Ghana. That's got nothing to do with live radio. That's got nothing to do with, live radio is different. That's streaming radio that's got Radio Mirchi stations like Mirchi Edge, Purani Jeans, and stuff like that. Okay, so I've actually already explained to you the ecosystem. This Ghana sitting in between as a great platform, perhaps the #1 platform on music in India, which ties up with music labels and helps music lovers enjoy the music, and we keep it free using the services and the money that advertisers give us. But my appeal or my interest in this topic is that when we advertise on Ghana.com, we have to be a little bit creative. And I am facing challenge there because it has to be a collaborative effort from the marketing guys and from any music. I'm not really talking about Ghana.com, whether you go to Savan or you go to in.com. The music-centric advertising has to be encouraged. So we have had some companies playing ball with us, and like we have had Airtel doing an ad where you use this channel as a discovery channel for Airtel Hello Tunes. People come here, the song is available on Airtel Airtel database, you can type in your number and it gets set as your hello tune. Then there's Idea, which did a campaign because they have this idea, old idea, new idea thing. So we had playlists which have an old version of a song and a new version of a song. Then Reliance did a very simple thing. They came with the channel theme. In fact, I show you the stuff. So my appeal to marketing guys is be music-centric when you're trying to advertise on a musical platform, and there perhaps where the need of Flash comes in. So this is a simple thing. Even HTML4 will do it for you. Don't need to go to 4.1 as well. But Flash helps us achieve things like this. Duracell does an ad. There's a 12-second ad. So what Duracell ad was doing, excuse me, can I have a power cord here? Power cord. So what Duracell did in this ad was that after some time, the audio would stop, indicating that you've run out of your battery, and this nice Flash animation would come and say, if you want, like, you shouldn't run out of battery. So click here to experience longer life and all, and then the music would restart. So it was something a creative thing. So building the context for this talk is that when they needed this kind of an, implement this creative idea, they had to resort to Flash. There are people out there with great HTML5 talent who did a very similar thing using HTML5. And in this, the creative part was that when you start a song, a dongle gets connected to the laptop, it uploads the song, and then it moves up and it then plays the song. So very much you can see that HTML5 can do that animation that Flash could do. But then there are some challenges. Okay, let's skip this part. An advertisement might be interested whether this is going to succeed as a music as a channel, and should we be investing in advertising over there. So there's this one slide about Pandora, because we are not yet there on mobile. There is not enough evidence about the Indian market, but we'll be generating that evidence soon. Give me a couple of 3 months, we'll be on the mobile as well. But Pandora, which is a music platform and in the US, shows that there's a huge amount of traffic, even compared to Facebook and Twitter, in terms of consuming music. Flash versus HTML5 continues to be a challenge for us, because we need to give very sophisticated user experience. We need to deal with issues about audio quality. We need to ensure things like security of our content. Label guys, the TCD, Sony, Universals, they are very, very cagey about giving content to any publisher unless they are 110% confident that their content is not going to get leaked out by things like portals, which Napster or SongSpeaker does. So we have to keep those interests in mind. And then, of course, we are trying to reach a huge number of people on multiple platforms. And today I'm motivated to also think of feature phone apps after, what's the name? Binay Tiwari's this thing. So we are not looking at that right now, but maybe after I go back. I think Sunit tried to cover this, but I'll probably, at the risk of cover this again, that HTML5 is actually not just HTML. It's a jargon which actually implies the JavaScript and the CSS that comes along with it. It's a whole complete package. And these specifications, which have been set down by an agreement between a lot of companies, the biggies like Apple and Microsoft and Mozilla Foundation and the W3C Foundation. This needs to be implemented by what we call the web browser, right? And on top of that, specifications is what our job is to write the web apps. What has happened over a period of time is that since about 1995, when the browsers started appearing, the specifications have been growing richer and richer, and the browsers have been growing thicker and thicker, right? To the extent that I really want to ask some techies whether we have crossed that line between the thin client and a thick client. Earlier thin clients where that all the processing will happen on the server side. There would be a mainframe, and then there were on the contrasting side, there were the thick applications. You make a standalone application, you go to everybody's desktop and install it there. But today, we are challenging that boundary. We have moved so much of processing on the client side virtually today, except for the data store. Even the caching has come in, which has probably a limit of something like 5 MB on the client side. But for that, we have the potential with JavaScript, the complexity of JavaScript, to move a huge amount of processing to the client side. So we have this since 1995 to 2012. we have covered a lot of distance. And these are the kind of things that Sunit touched upon. And the three highlighted in blue are which touch upon the musical platform, which we have been strongly kind of working with at Times Internet: multimedia, graphics, and CSS3. When he talked about the contextual thing, I pulled out a syntax while listening to his talk, and I thought, let me show it to these guys, that he was talking about fallback. So this is a syntax in the HTML5 specification which allows you to have a graceful fallback. That if you have a navigator geolocation supported, that's fine, you go out with your business. Otherwise, you tell the user geolocation is not supported. So that's a graceful fallback, so not a problem. But why is this graceful fallback required? I mean, you have to understand that two things come in the way. One is the user adoption of the browser, and second is the browser adoption of the specification. Okay? The interesting part is that once that thing is implemented, how actually the browser and the hardware get the geolocation to the logic, it has multiple options. Okay, now that we've talked so much about HTML5, the question is why no HTML5 so far, right? I've been talking about these challenges. First is, I think, very basic, complex animation. So I'll show you. We started building this site about 2 years back, and at that point of time, some crazy designer like Sunit had this great vision and a dream of making a full screen player like this. Probably he was motivated by Winamp, and you have this playlist coming in between, you have this proportionate circle getting completed when the song gets completed, you have this graphic equalizer thing in between, in the center of the screen animating. And at that point of time, we had, of course, the challenge of knowledge about HTML5, whether HTML5 can do all this kind of graphics, whether the processing power of the machines of our clients would get choked, and whether it will be portable across all platforms or not. And then, of course, Steve Jobs made the job easier in one way when he said, I'm not going to support Flash. And then the news is out, like somebody just said about minutes ago, that Adobe is also, Flash is in a sunset zone now. They're no longer going to keep evolving Flash. So the answer was blowing in the wind that no matter what you want to do, no matter what the designers want us to make, we have to somehow figure out that we should be able to do it with HTML5, and if we can't, probably that small piece compromise has to be done. And again, he spoke about that he showed a gymnast and a sumo wrestler coming together as a plug-in thing. So I'm talking in plain language that there was this multimedia challenge. The thing was, one was graphics, and second was multimedia challenge, what I'm talking about security. That we wanted, first of all, non-HTML5 did not have audio support. The proof in the pudding is that, yes, we needed a Flash player or a QuickTime plugin or a Silverlight thing. And then, little more details is, we wanted stateful player. We wanted to know whether a person using the song, consuming the song, has pressed the pause button, a forward button, a rewind button. We want to know at the server end. We want to know how much of a song was heard and how much of a song was not heard. And then we wanted to also know that the content has to be secure. In the current audio tag, which I'm going to just talk about in a short time, is not 100% secure. Not that a Flash player is 110% secure, but Flash as a plugin allows somebody to write proprietary binaries and secure code inside it and make it like 98, 99% secure. But this is like very far from that when you're going to try and stream content using HTML5. So probably the society has to mature and say, hey, IPR protection is very strong in India, and if you're going to charge, say, 2 rupees a song for a month or something like that, people are not going to spend time to steal. You know, if we are going to see that kind of a culture coming and labels going to throw their guards down and say, okay, man, the leakage is like less than 2%, so let's not worry about it. Let's worry about adopting the latest standard. Then maybe we can do away with the fear of security. And of course, I want my player at the client side to be adaptive. By adaptive, I mean I can detect the bandwidth that the user is having at that point of time and change the bit rate of the songs that I download. I'm not sure, we have not been able to figure this out right now, whether we can have this adaptive control at HTML5 level using JavaScript or anything else. So this is the graphic we just saw some time ago. I wanted to highlight the other challenge which we faced about 2 years ago is incompatibility, right? Incompatibility is something that when the vendor is behind the specification or a lot of people are using, so the most notorious person in this case scenario had been the biggest player in the market at some point of time, i.e. Internet Explorer, who was always dancing to its own tune, and the largest browser that was being used to visit Ghana.com happened to be IE. And in terms of report card, you can see it for yourself. It was all cross, 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 cross. Now, with all cross, 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 how could we dare to use HTML5 and just be, sound cool to ourselves, but the user says, oh man, this site stinks. So it was a very, very conscious decision that we can't go ahead with HTML5 at that point of time. But what about now? Let's skip this. Now there has been a benign shift for us, maybe not for Bill Gates. Explorer usage has come down. It is definitely a minority as far as the browsers used by the users who visit Ghana.com is concerned. Chrome is by large majority. And Chrome, interestingly, I mean, if you use Chrome to some extent, you would notice that besides visiting websites, it also boasts of something like Google apps or Chrome apps within it. It is really becoming, a very powerful platform. It's not a simple, dumb browser. And thankfully, Chrome, Firefox are very compatible in terms of HTML5. And Explorer has also fallen in line, Explorer IE10 specifically. And they having fallen in line, by that I mean that they support the audio tag, and some of them support the org vorbis format or the MP3 format or the AAC format, one of them. That's the beauty of these tags, that you mention if you have 3 format files and the browser has implemented the codec for any one of them, okay, it's party time. Otherwise, you gracefully degrade and say, your browser does not support the audio tag. The other pull for HTML5 is actually the fight between HTML and native. Again, Sunit touched upon it. This is, I picked up from a site which is trying to sell the promise of their software converting HTML5 code to native code. So they're saying that in one world you get one part of the fun, the other part is missed out, and they're saying we give you best of the both worlds. So that's another thing we are struggling with, or we are trying to work on and build our. We were actually struggling with this question 4 months ago when we were deciding on a mobile app strategy, which way to go. And again, the verdict was not clear. Whether any of these players are fly-by-night operators, or is the promise of write once and run anywhere, to get away with the problem of version management, of multiple screen sizes. Are these softwares going to solve that problem or not? The answer still is, or I would say the jury is still out on that. So what we are doing right now is, this is only for this room, because not yet released. So by that I mean that we are very near to releasing this. So this is how the Ghana app on iOS is going to look like. And it is not going to be hybrid. It's not going to be HTML5. But there is a team of people trying to work on HTML5, and they were highly discouraged recently when somebody shared the video of Zuckerberg recently, where he said that his team is withdrawing their decision of going on with HTML5 and rather than native. उनको लग रहा है कि उनकी नौकरी खतरे में है now that they're working on HTML5 for mobile. I don't know. Zuckerberg has been wrong on his stock valuation. I hope he's wrong on the HTML5 thing as well, right? So I think there will be HTML5 applications doing as much as what Flash can do. So the answer, if I may repeat, the way I started is yes. 99% if that qualifies as yes for you, for me it does. We can do with HTML5 what you can do with